Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 on the FM dial and 1220 AM. This is SCVI and iLEAD Schools' Eye on the Valley, and I am your host for these hours, Amber Raskin. We're talking this morning with Assemblywoman Suzette Martinez Valladares. She represents California's 38th district, including Santa Clarita, Agua Dulce, Castaic, Stevenson Ranch, as well as Simi Valley, Granada Hills, and Porter Ranch. Thank you again for being here today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I love to talk, education, and it's a big talking point right now up in Sacramento, and obviously even for parents here in Santa Clarita.
Yeah. You're doing it. It sounds like you're just coming out with like gangbusters, as we talked about earlier in the hour. And there's a couple of things I'd love to hear about in this segment, which is the two things I'd like to talk about are what are your priorities, and to hear a little bit more about what's happening with COVID. So I'll just let you go on what your priorities are. And I hear you're authoring a bill along with Tom Lackey. Please tell us about all that.
Yeah, when when I won on November 4th, and before I even hired my staff, I gave it some really, deep thought about what I wanted my office to be known for. Because I, along the campaign trail, have talked about my priorities around education, around addressing the high cost of living, homelessness crisis, pandemic. But also, what would our office really stand for? So I think it's important for you to know, and for residents here in the Santa Clarita Valley to know that my office is going to be the hardest working office representative you have ever seen. I think it's that's important that you know that I'm doing this for you and to represent your voice, which is why you're absolutely right. I have went kind of gangbusters with my 8 committees. And some of my first bill package. The second thing that we were going to be known for is being the most empathetic office in the entire state legislature. And when I say empathetic, it means truly understanding the needs of our community, and every piece of policy work that we do understands how it applies and how much it's needed in our community. And lastly, we were going to be the most approachable and the most accessible office. You can call us for anything if you have concerns, issues around PSPS or the public power safety shutoffs, around getting kids back into the classroom. If you need help with EDD because you're not getting your check, you can call my office. We will be there, email, phone call. Even if we don't have the answer and it's another level of government, we will get you pointed in the right direction. That has extended, to my staff, and that's now extended to the bills that I have introduced. On my very first day, I introduced 2 bills, and it was a really exciting time. Those first 2 bills were to support small business and were to support our foster youth. So the small business bill is around the franchise tax that every business has to pay every year, $800. Some people own several small businesses, and $800 in the middle of a pandemic when your restaurant is closed, when your small, brick and mortar has been decimated, is a lot of money. So this bill will reduce that fee to $400 for small businesses and $200 for micro businesses. I think any amount of capital and resources we can keep in the banks and pockets of our small businesses, we have to take those steps. And then the second bill is around foster youth. My next door neighbors growing up took in foster youth, and the community has been near and dear to me. I know a lot of our faith community in the Santa Clarita are foster parents, and I have friends who are fostering children. And what I found out is that foster children are 35 more times likely to have their identity stolen before the time that they're 18 years old. And when a foster youth turns 18 years old, they're let out into the world. I wasn't ready to be let out into the world when I was 18 years old. Yeah. And I had it, and you already have the cards stacked against you. And if your identity is stolen, your financial identity, your foundation is crumbled. So what this bill is going to do is extend a credit freeze from 16 years to 18 years of age for our foster youth, so they can have the strong financial foundation that they need to enter into adulthood. And then I have actually about 5 more bills and a bill that I'm co-authoring with Assemblyman Tom Lackey around, something I think that has affected our community, and that is revenge porn. And, I have nieces. You and I come from a world where we didn't have, text messages and phones, and, life was very different 15, 20 years ago. And for especially our young women today, especially for our children at home that are, minors, and the online predators that exist to try and solicit these, inappropriate photos from youth and then even from women, we need to protect women. We need to protect our youth. And the laws against revenge porn are not strong enough. So this bill aims to kind of address that issue. And again, I will be talking on my Facebook page at Suzette Valladares a lot more about my bills. But I don't want to take up your whole show on all of my bills.
Well, we have a vested interest in hearing about them, so please don't worry about that one bit.
Yeah.
But I would like to hear a little bit about the state's response to COVID with the vaccine coming.
Yeah.
Could you talk about that a little bit, please?
Absolutely. So first, I'll talk a little bit about the budget, the education budget specifically, because we are immediately looking at, the $2 billion that the governor has proposed in his budget to help for school reopening. So for those of, Amber, you probably know this, but for everyone listening, everyone's been asking, when are kids going to get back to school? Is it going to be this year? What are the guidelines? What are we doing? The governor set forth his budget and his plan to reopen public education. And his plan initially is only looking at opening TK through 2 and providing funding, $2 billion to schools, which is not nearly enough with guidelines that I think are arbitrary. So he's created this tier system. We have the purple tier, the red tier, the orange tier, and the yellow tier. And he's created guidelines that tell schools and grade levels, once they're in a certain tier for 14 days, they can reopen. But they also have to do testing of students, testing of parents, and that's what this $2 billion is for. But now that it's my understanding, and I've talked to superintendents here in Santa Clarita, that we can use that $2 billion better. And testing, especially now that we have the vaccine, is not the route that we need to go. We need to get that vaccine into the arms of teachers, into the arms of staff, into the arms of students, so that they can get back into the classroom. Because the personnel, it's just going to be a very complex and actually a waste of time and hard to do. And the resources simply aren't there to test teachers and students and staff every week or every couple of days. So I'm really concerned with the vaccine rollout right now. The governor, I think has had 10 months to figure out the strategy, and we're all trying to do our part. We all understand that, right now the world is very fluid, but we've had 10 months to figure out a strategy to vaccinate, especially our most vulnerable communities, and we're not there yet. I think yesterday we just got to vaccinating 900,000 people in California. And we were given the vaccine in the middle of December. We were given 1.5 million doses of the vaccine. So it seems like the vaccine rollout is not working. People are not able to make appointments on the California Vax site. I hear that the LA County site, you can, if you're 65 or older, you can go to the LA County COVID website and register for an appointment. I know Six Flags Magic Mountain is a mass vaccine center. We're so happy. I've been talking to Six Flags about their ability to do that. But the reality is, we need a better appointment system. We need more of the vaccine, and we need to get proper resources to schools to vaccinate staff, teachers, and students.
Yeah, it's we absolutely do need that. Is there anything that we can do as educators to help? with the situation?
Yeah, I think that there is. I think that, one of the biggest concerns, especially in underserved communities, is the trustworthiness of the vaccine. When I'm eligible, you can bet I'm going to be taking the vaccine. So one of the things that I think educators can do is talk about the safety of the vaccine, whether it's Moderna, Pfizer. Johnson and Johnson's vaccine is almost through the process and ready to start being administered. What's kind of cool about the Johnson and Johnson vaccine is that, as opposed to Moderna and Pfizer, where they both need to be administered within, I think 21 and 27 days. The Johnson and Johnson vaccine is one shot. So I think that what the educators can do with parents and with students is encourage the vaccine, encourage that it is safe, encourage that it's going to be an important component of getting kids back in the classroom, and really why it's so vital to do this the right way and why it's so vital to get people vaccinated is for one, because we want this pandemic to subside. We need to look at herd immunity. We need to make sure that the people that cannot get the vaccine because of medical reasons are safe as well. Our seniors are safe. But there is so much learning loss that is occurring right now, Amber. It's really sad. I don't think we're really going to truly understand the impact that this pandemic has had on students, on families, on education, on learning loss, or we're going to be starting to understand that over the next course of 3, 4, 5 years. So the sooner we can get people back into the classroom, the more we can address, these learning loss issues.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting throughout history to see what this generation has lived with. It's like living through World War II, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to affect them for the rest of their lives. And I was saying to my kids, it'll be fascinating to see how it plays out with your kids and your grandkids, how you recount what was going on. How long, Suzette, do you anticipate till we're back to normal? Quote unquote normal. And I don't know if we'll ever be normal again.
I'm like, if I had a crystal ball, I could tell you. There's two things. And, I think that we're hopeful that that if we can get, people vaccinated, maybe through summer, I think that there is a huge possibility that, in-person education won't happen until, summer or maybe even next fall. Schools and teachers and administrators are going to have to be looking at, options like after school, night school, Saturday school, so that we can catch our children back up. It could be, a year or 2 years before we get back to a place where okay, this feels normal. And that's probably going to be a new normal. What is interesting when, you brought up, how is history going to look back at this? How are we going to look back at this? My daughter is going to be 4 in April. So in about, a month and 2 months here. And, the 3 and 4-year-old age is so amazing because they're like little sponges. Their personalities just explode. They're learning so much and they can start to grasp and understand larger concepts and that they're a part of, a world and a community. And my daughter, whenever we go outside, she's like, oh, Mom, I need my mask. Or the germs. We call COVID the germs. And I'm like, okay, don't touch this. There's germs. And for her, it's just kind of, sometimes now I forget my mask. I'm like, I have to run back in the house and get my mask. But she remembers this because this is her normal.
I know.
And
it's weird. If I don't have a mask on, I feel a little exposed, naked. I'm I forgot something.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad because that protects her now, but it also makes me sad because that's not the world. But is she going to remember this, in 10 years?
Oh, yeah.
A part of me hopes yes, and a part of me hopes no.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. Okay, well, we have to go out for our next commercial. I really want to thank you, Assemblywoman Valladares. We're so grateful for your time this morning. And you have not only always been willing to talk, but listen. And that partnership, we just can't overstate how important it is. In fact, that's something that was new to me when I got into schools. I didn't realize how connected to the state we are when we're implementing what we're doing. So thank you so much for being a partner in that. And thank you for all you do. We hope to have you on again soon when I'm hosting, especially because I love having you on with me. And I look forward to talking to you in person as soon as that's an option.
Absolutely. I look forward to it too. For those of you, you guys can go to my website at Suzette Valladares State Assembly, either my personal or my campaign site and or my public site for information.
Do you have any last thoughts or well wishes for the community?
I just want the community to know, please reach out to me. There are so many issues I know that you are facing on a daily basis. We all are. As things change in this world, and I am here to listen and here to help.
And any vaccine questions, please reach out. And I do plan to get the vaccine, and my founder and partner, Dawn, already has gotten the first dose. She's in Idaho right now. So,
awesome.
So, yeah, we will be that example, and we will share that it's safe. So thank you so much again. Really appreciate it. I am Amber Raskin, and this is SCVI and iLEAD Schools, Eye on the Valley. We've got more when we get back here on your hometown station, KHTS.
At College of the Canyons, we are
an inclusive community,
a family,
a partner,
a leader,
a way forward,
an open door,
an affordable education,
an opportunity for a different tomorrow.
Spring classes begin in February.
The time is now.
The place is here.
Enroll now.
Canyons.edu/schedule.
If you need help at home or at the office, call Made For You. Made For You is a locally owned, bonded, and licensed cleaning service with over 20 years of experience. All employees are vetted for your protection. No need to buy products or equipment. The Made For You staff comes complete with everything needed to make your home or office cleaner than ever. Hire Made For You one time, as needed, or an ongoing basis. No room is off limits. Laundry and ironing services are also available. Call Made For You for a free estimate. 255-2922. That's 255-2922.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and when I invented my pillow, I wanted it to have everything you'd ever want in a pillow. You can adjust the patented fill to your exact individual needs. You can wash and dry my pillow. It has a 10-year warranty not to go flat, and it's made in the USA. And now, for a limited time, you can get a queen-size premium My Pillow for the lowest price ever. Regularly $69.98, now only $29.98. That's a $40 savings. I'm also giving you deep discounts on all my MyPillow products, including my bed sheets, mattress toppers, and bath towels. Buy now and I'll extend my 60-day money-back guarantee to March 1st, 2021.
Go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code KHTS or call 800-973-3927 and use the promo code KHTS. That's 800-973-3927 or go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code KHTS.
Why did Mercedes-Benz of Valencia win the Dealer of Excellence Award in 2019?
Because we strive to provide the most outstanding sales experience.
Mercedes-Benz of Valencia COO Chris Paz.
We know you have high expectations. Our stellar team will meet and exceed your expectations. That's why we were named Mercedes Best of the Best, placing us in the top 10% of all Mercedes dealers nationwide.
Find out how you can lease a new Mercedes for unbelievably low monthly payments. Details at mbzvalencia.com.
Sweet, salty, tastiest, bacon and pancakiest. Big yawns are okay, yummy syrups, yes way. Butter pecan, blueberry, old-fashioned strawberry. Never empty coffee pot, Mom says it hits the spot. Almonds are the fluffiest, Dad's hugs the scruffiest. Scrambled eggy,
pepper shaky,
orange juicy, wide awake, stuffed French toastiest. Waffles with the mustiest, buttermilky smooth, the silky tastes great. Love on a plate.
IHOP, everything you love about breakfast.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is Amber Raskin, and you're listening to SCVI and iLEAD Schools' Eye on the Valley. We just spoke with Assemblywoman Suzette Martinez Valladares, and she talked about some really fantastic things that she's doing, coming out like gangbusters, authoring many bills or participating in sponsoring many bills, and working on the vaccine rollout on many budget committees. Just so proud to have her representing us. And coming up in hour number 2, we'll have Wendy Ruiz. Wendy is program director at Little iLEADERS, iLEAD's innovative preschool program. It's a private preschool in Castaic, but it follows the same cutting-edge type of education available at our public charter schools, like SCVI, iLEAD Agua Dulce, and iLEAD Exploration, such as hands-on, project-based learning, play-based, experiential learning, and student-centered approach. And after that, we'll be checking in with SCVI alum Julia Berrigan from the class of 2016. Julia went from SCVI to Sonoma State University now is doing some exciting things serving her community, working with other young people in Northern California. In fact, Assemblywoman Valladares talked about her support for mental health services with our youth earlier, and that is exactly the field Julia is working in. She's supporting kids in tackling some deep and important issues. And I'm told that we have Matt Watson, our regular host, on the line. Hi, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing okay, Amber. Good morning. It's good to talk to you.
You too. I miss having you here. My first time hosting alone, solo.
Well, I love when you come in and co-host, but I'm a little worried that you're going to take the show from me.
I don't know. You're the pro. You are the pro.
She's beating you out, Matt. I swear, she's beating you out, Matt.
I tell you what, Assemblywoman Valladares was absolutely fantastic. She's a terrific interview, and she's a great supporter of charter schools. That was a terrific interview, Amber.
Yeah, I told her I was so grateful that she was my first guest because she is so eloquent, and she absolutely carries the day. And I'm so proud of all the things that she's doing.
Yeah, she's really working hard. She doesn't mess around. She's only been up there for a month and a half, and she's already co-authored a couple of bills, and she's working hard on her committees. That is great. And you've got some terrific guests coming up as well. It sounds like. You've got Wendy calling in from Little iLEADERS. That'll be great.
Yeah, she always has such great stuff to say. And Suzette, it goes right along with Suzette's passion, which is early childhood education. She is...
Right, yeah.
Well, the interesting thing about Wendy that a lot of people don't know is she was my own kids, who are now in college, but my own kids' first ever teacher, or Sammy's first ever teacher, my oldest. And really my first teacher as a parent. So she taught me a lot about being a parent, and she taught me a lot about what philosophically matched with my preferences. And she carried me through having to put my very young daughter in preschool for the first time, and the tears came more from me than my daughter. So I've always been so grateful for her guidance.
Yeah, Wendy was right there with you before SCDI and iLEAD Schools was even a concept. She sort of helped make it possible, didn't she?
She absolutely did, and she introduced us to Renee Marshall, who wrote the first pass of the charter way back when, and just picked her brain for all of the things that go into a holistic education, like what we promote and what we deliver at our iLEAD schools.
Yeah, well, Renee's another great guest that comes on the show all the time. Renee's fantastic. You can just ask her, so what's the landscape of education? And she'll just go on and tell you, just such an amazing expert. She'll tell you everything you need to know about education.
Yeah, she's great. And I'm really looking forward to Julia. You had talked to Julia to set this up. Tell us a little bit about what we're in for with her.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Julia, I think you said she's coming on toward the end of the second hour, around 9:45. Julia's fantastic. She's been going to our school since she was in 7th grade. I think she tried to enroll in SCDI when she was in 6th grade, but there was such a long wait list she didn't get in. But her younger siblings did, and she was able to get in when she was in 7th grade. And Julia was part of that class that kind of sort of trained me in the iLEAD way as I was starting out new. Julia, I think, was maybe a freshman in high school when I started with our schools, and she and her classmates sort of, kind of showed me the way as I was working in the classroom and then as the high school director. And she has such a strong but quiet presence, and always just was kind of out in front and making suggestions. She was one of those kids that I refer to when I talk about how, our students, our learners at SCVI, have the audacity to think that they are obviously tongue-in-cheek, kind of peers with the adults on campus. And they are. Anybody that spent any time on our campuses knows our learners know that it's their school and that they're involved in the decision-making, and Julia was such a strong part of that.
She really, you're right, she really did help shape things. And in fact, she won our first leadership award. And what's interesting about that is we are called iLEAD for a reason, and because we're grooming leaders. I always say that most schools talk about preparing their kids to get jobs, and we are preparing our kids to provide jobs. And an important point about that is it's not just iLEAD as a name. Like iLEAD Agua Dulce is a sentence, iLEAD Agua Dulce, but it's also an acronym: International Leadership, Entrepreneurial Development, Arts and Design Thinking. And Julia really does embody all of that, which is why it's so beautiful that she won that first award.
Yeah, I'm hoping she'll talk about the her undergrad program that she did at Sonoma State, which she really fell in love with because it was so similar to the way we provide education at SCVI. All of her classes kind of combined. She didn't go from one class to the next. She would tackle 3, 4, 5 classes sometimes in one project, and it was really innovative. She really enjoyed it and said, there were some of her classmates that took a while to get used to it, and she took to it like a duck to water. She just absolutely loved her time at Sonoma.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Matt, thank you so much for calling in and supporting me. I am definitely not going to take your job. You are the consummate professional and pro, but your support means the world to me because I absolutely learn from you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're doing a great job. I just had to call in. I miss my buddy Patty too. You're doing a great job.
I miss you too, Maddie.
Now, don't go away. When we come back, we will talk to the program director at Little iLEADERS, Wendy Ruiz, as we mentioned, and I am Amber Raskin, and you're listening to SCVI and iLEAD Schools Eye on the Valley, your hometown station, KHTS.
With locations throughout the valley, Providence offers the most advanced technology and therapies for treating cancer in Southern California. Call 1-888-HEALING for your annual checkup or second opinion. The road to healing leads to Providence.
Experience Frontier Toyota's all-new hot and exciting Toyota lineup. Serving the Santa Clarita Valley for over 30 years. Frontier Toyota, the Camry, Corolla, and Prius Kings. They're tops in Tacoma and Tundra trucks. Frontier Toyota, the new way of car buying. Shop from home at frontiertoyota.com or visit their showroom at Valencia and Creekside. Discover a whole new car buying experience with your friends at Frontier Toyota.
Excellence isn't just a word, it is what we deliver. Vanguard Protection Group is committed to providing its clients with the highest echelon of protective services available. Our clients not only receive the security services they contract for, but also reports that are well-written, articulate, and thorough. Our patrol officers operate at the highest levels and have an impressive rapport with local law enforcement. With military, police, private policing, and courtroom experience, you can trust that we have the strength to deliver our promise of excellence. Contact Vanguard Protection by calling 661-753-3611 or visiting their website at vanguardprotectiongroup.com.
KHTS AM 1220 and 98.1 FM Santa Clarita. It's 9 o'clock. Time for national news on KHTS.
Another cabinet member takes their place. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Just a short time ago in the U.S. Senate,
the yeas are 93, the nays are 2, and the nomination is confirmed.
Overwhelming support for the new defense chief, a historic choice.
Retired General Lloyd Austin has been confirmed as Secretary of Defense, the first African American to hold that position. The 93-2 vote makes Austin the second cabinet nominee in the Biden administration to be confirmed. Austin retired from the Army in 2016 after serving as commander of Central Command, leading forces in the Middle East. Both the House and Senate approved a waiver to a federal law requiring at least 7 years of separation from the military before leading the Pentagon. Congress also waived that requirement 4 years ago for former Secretary of Defense James Mattis. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Austin is due to arrive at the Pentagon at this hour. Later today, a Senate vote expected on Treasury Chief nominee Janet Yellen. The new Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, says the impeachment article against former President Trump over the Capitol riot will be sent to the Senate on Monday. Minority Leader Mitch McConnell had argued for a 2-week delay in the Senate trial. One of baseball's all-time greats is gone. Hank Aaron has died. He was 86.
A spring training injury opened up a roster spot for Hank Aaron, who joined the Milwaukee Braves on the big league level in 1954. One season later, his first of a record 25 All-Star Game appearances. Then in 1957, he would help lead the Braves to a World Series win while earning National League MVP honors, leading the majors in home runs and RBIs that year. His mighty swing earning him the nickname Hammerin' Hank.
Fox's Matt Napolitano. It was Aaron who broke Babe Ruth's home run record in 1974, which was later broken by Barry Bonds. He was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1982. America is listening to Fox News.
Bria's fashion boutique is the worst. First, they asked me if I needed help finding anything. Just because I'm gorgeous doesn't mean I need help.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
Then they tell me they're having a sale. Oh, so you're assuming I'm poor. Cool.
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial auto and business insurance.
Also, they tried to give me the friends and family discount. I'm not your friend, so...
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
New year, new budgets. Every small business has unique needs. And when you partner with a Dell Technologies advisor, you get real-time, tailored advice. They'll even give you a free consultation on your servers and storage devices to develop a custom solution to help improve your company's productivity. Plus, get special financing with Dell Business Credit and big savings on business computers with Intel Core processors. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
A bipartisan call for explanation after some of the National Guard troops who had been resting at the Capitol in between shifts were sent to a parking garage.
Thousands of National Guard troops were allowed back in the Capitol after photos showing them taking rest breaks in a parking garage went viral. There was bipartisan outrage at the situation, with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer saying he'd get to the bottom of it. Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis told Fox and Friends he's ordering his Guard troops to leave.
So this is a half-cocked mission at this point, and I think the appropriate thing is to bring them home.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott's doing the same. A Guard spokesperson says Capitol Police had asked them to move their rest area, but the acting Capitol Police chief says they did not ask them to move. The Guard members have hotel rooms, but use the rest areas for downtime between long shifts. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
President Biden has more executive orders ready as he continues to implement his plan to take on COVID and the resulting financial struggles. Nationwide, the virus has now claimed over 411,000 lives, infecting nearly 25 million Americans and over 97 million worldwide. Speeding up the vaccination rollout remains a top priority. A national park is temporarily shut down because of millions of dollars in wind damage.
Yosemite National Park is closed after California winds swept through the state this week, toppling power lines and trees, including 2 giant sequoias. In Yosemite National Park, where a spokesman says downed trees also crushed trucks and damaged buildings, including employee homes, a boardwalk, and a bathroom, installed during a recent $40 million restoration project. Crews are working to repair power throughout the area. The closure of Yosemite National Park extends through at least Monday. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Stocks are lower, retreating from recent record highs. The Dow's down 98 points. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
I'm
I'm Stuart Varley, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Home sales jumped last year to the highest level since 2006. The housing market has been helped by low interest rates and home buyers looking for more space where they can live and work remotely in the pandemic. The National Association of Realtors says existing home sales rose 0.7% in December from November. For the entire year, though, sales are up 22%, and prices are up nearly 13% from a year ago. There are two encouraging readings on the economy. Both the manufacturing and service sectors improved this month as measured by private research firm IHS Markit. Both IBM and Intel shares have been losing ground after the companies reported a mixed quarter, though Volkswagen shares are higher, helped by its better-than-expected earnings. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
With the new president, so much is happening in Washington. Now, millions are turning to Newsmax TV, your trusted news source. They're going online to Newsmax.com for breaking news and downloading the free Newsmax app on their smartphones. Newsmax TV is on all major cable systems. If you don't get Newsmax, call your cable operator or watch it free on Roku, YouTube, Apple TV, Xumo, Pluto, and smart TVs like Samsung and LG. Newsmax is real news for real people. Start watching today.
Thanks for listening to KHTS AM 1220, Canyon Country, California. K260 CO 98.1 FM, Santa Clarita, California.
The shows must go on. The Main in Santa Clarita is your destination for free online music, theater, art, and entertainment opportunities. Tune into fun variety nights, join a talent show, learn from filmmaking experts, attend a modern play, and more from the comfort of your home. For more information and to view upcoming events, go to facebook.com/themain-newhall or @themain.org. Enjoy the shows.
Do you change your own motor oil? Did you know used oil is actually hazardous waste and can't be disposed of in the trash like regular old garbage? Fortunately, Santa Clarita has over 20 certified collection centers to properly dispose of used motor oil and filters for free. When you do the right thing, you help keep our city clean. Visit greensantaclarita.com for locations near you. That's greensantaclarita.com. This message is funded by Cal Recycle.
Hey there, it's Tori with your hometown station weather. A mix of sun and clouds today. Little on the chilly side with highs only in the mid to upper 50s. Overnight lows in the 40s. For anything and everything Santa Clarita Valley related, go to hometownstation.com or find us on social media at KHTS Radio.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
The following is sponsored programming and does not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is Amber Raskin, your host for today. You're listening to SCVI and iLEAD Schools' Eye on the Valley. Today we're in for a treat. We are joined by my friend and colleague, Wendy Ruiz, the program director at Little iLEADERS. Wendy was previously the infant toddler director at College of the Canyons Center for Early Childhood Education and an adjunct instructor for the ECE department. She worked with children and families over 20 years in both the classroom setting as well as in administration. Wendy sits on the board of the Southern California Valley Association for the Education of Young Children as the WYOC co-chair and has coordinated the Week of the Young Child Play Day for 5 years now. She is also a certified trainer in PICT. I don't know how you pronounce that acronym, but it stands for Program for Infant, Toddlers, and Caregivers. Wendy received her BA in Child Development from Cal State University Northridge and her MS in Child Development and Child Life from the University of Laverne and is a director mentor for the California Mentor Program. And in 2018, she was the well-deserved recipient of SCVI's Family Founders Vision Award. And as I said, she is a personal friend because, and I have known her. I've known her more than most stakeholders and people at SCVI because she was my oldest daughter, who's now in college, her first teacher ever, which broke me as a mom into dropping my daughter off. And I am forever grateful for your care and love and support and hugs through my tears in those early years. And then, as I mentioned it earlier in the show, your guidance in understanding what my philosophy of education is, because I hadn't been in education before. So understanding what mattered to me, you helped me much more than my kids through all of that. Thank you. Thank you, Wendy. And thank you for being here today.
You're a natural.
Thank you. And
Thanks
you
for having me.
Yeah, and welcome back. I know you're a frequent guest, and so grateful for that, because your philosophical guidance is just so critical to everything we do. And you've been, as I mentioned, part of SCVI and iLEAD schools since the beginning. But now you run Little iLEADERS, which who knew back then when we were going on field trips with 2 and 3-year-olds that's where we'd be now, right?
Oh, we knew. We knew.
Well, you guys knew. Okay. So tell our listeners a little bit about the history, a little more.
Yeah, I mean, I still remember, yes, I've been with SCVI since the founding days, but I remember as soon as we transitioned over to the Castaic location that there was some discussion of a possible early childhood program. And we just knew that it was a good fit. We knew that having a play-based early childhood program was completely in line with the project-based learning that SCVI and the iLEAD culture provides. And so it just made sense. And we kept saying, why don't we have this yet? Why don't we have a preschool or infant toddler program for our learners to start, at their youngest age? We know how crucial it is to have quality care at that young age, and then to have them transition right into a project-based learning. It was just a good fit. So we just had to find the right time and put in the work, and it happened. It's amazing, and it's just a dream.
You are such a role model in pounding that drum for how important early childhood education is. And you're persistent, because you kept saying, well, let me know when you're ready. Let me know when you're ready. And finally we said, we're ready. And I think that eventually we'll be ready to replicate too, but we're still kind of figuring out, because there's a lot of stuff that we're working on. And tell us a little bit about some of the details. When did it open, and what ages do we serve, and where are we located?
So it opened about 3 years ago, if I'm remembering correctly. It's all kind of a blur. Mm-hmm. And we offer care for as young as 6 weeks until 12 years old, actually, because we have our iCreate program as part of our Little iLEADERS family as well. And so we have an infant program, toddler, preschool, and then our before and after school program, which currently is a full-day program, as our learners are doing synchronous learning. So since they're learning from home, we have many learners that come to our site and do their learning there. So it's wonderful that we were able to really accommodate and make changes quickly to meet the needs of families during with COVID going on. Mm-hmm. So, but our program is play-based. And
talk a little bit more about that, if you would. Play-based, I understand. I'd love for our listeners to understand a little bit more about what that means, because I do hear people say sometimes, like, there's either academic or play-based, and in play-based you don't learn. So I'd love for you to expand on that, and including how it goes naturally with the philosophical pedagogy of the charter schools. That it's
absolutely. So with the charter schools, the goal is to create lifelong learners, right? It's to create learners who are finding their passion, even at school age level, and then learning how to dig deeper into that passion and continue it way past school. And that it's not just preparing children for K through 12, but beyond. And that's what Little iLEADERS does, but at the infant, toddler, and preschool stage. we're building that foundation, that love of learning as soon as they walk in the door. So our play-based learning, it infuses academics through play. So it's meaningful play. It's play that has intent, where we consider play a child's work. And so they're working through everything. They're working through how to make the puzzle pieces fit together, or how to stack the blocks just so many that it doesn't fall over, or if it does fall over, how many was that and what do they need to do to fix that next time? Or so they're problem solving and they're getting their hands involved. We know the more the children touch in their hands, the more it connects to the brain. And so they're making mud cakes and they're making their own Play-Doh or whatever. I mean, the other day they made bread in the crock pot. And so it's through play, but doing those things, the children are counting and using cognitive, awareness, spatial awareness. There's so much involved in it. It's, sometimes people think that the teachers just allow the children just to play, but there's so much thought involved in it. All of their curriculum that we plan in the classrooms are based completely on the children's individual interests. So every classroom looks different. There is no specific theme or letter focus. It's what are the children into, and then how do we infuse curriculum and education and academics through that. For example, if the children are really into robots right now, then we're going to infuse robots into the classroom and play. Or if they're into insects, then we do insects. It's just kind of really based off what the children are talking about, what they're passionate about, and then expanding that passion.
And how is that important as they grow? Explain to me explain for our listeners how that translates to being an older learner and even an adult. Like, why is that foundation critical?
That love for learning early on is so important because, our children are going to be in school for many, many years to come. And especially if they're going into college, 4-year universities or graduate school or whatever their path may be, they're going to be in school for a long time. And so to build that foundation of that love and passion for learning now creates a passion and love for learning later. And I know that there's, even as adults, we have passions and we have things that we like to do, things that inspire us, and things that don't. And so we try to help our learners find those things that inspire them, because those are what's going to take them farther on. That's what's going to take them into maybe a future career, or maybe when they're playing doctor in our dramatic play area, it may be what sets the foundation for them to be a doctor later in life. Or maybe when they're problem solving and arguing with another child about how to, work in the sandbox, they might be a lawyer later in life. You just don't know. And so for our role is to inspire them and ignite that flame in them instead of extinguishing it.
Yeah, I got to say, as I pointed out a couple of times already, that you and I had a lot of talks about this early on, and I'm never shy about sharing that I did not do well in school, which is what led me to wanting to have a different kind of method of delivery for my own kids, because I saw my daughter in the traditional setting was not going to fit into that box. And one of the things that I remember when I was 18 and not doing nearly as well as Julie Berrigan is, and her who's coming up next, I remember just feeling like I don't have a clue what I want to do. I didn't feel like there was any support for or any opportunity to get exposed to things I might be interested in. And I have to agree with you that starting as early as they start crawling, letting them explore and lead their own curiosities is so important when you grow up and want to be a leader and look at what interests you, because I know that when I'm working on things as an adult that I'm interested in, I'm far more motivated. So it's great as an adult, but also through if they're able to stay with our system, we focus in the older grades too on student, it's called student-led learning. We want the students to lead learning the tasks and the content they need to learn through what they're interested in. So at those early ages, getting comfortable with that and being in an environment where they're allowed to explore, it's such a beautiful thing. That's what I loved about College of the Canyons preschool when my kids went there, and I know that our philosophy is very similar at Little iLEADERS.
Yeah, I think it's about really our role is to help give them a voice and build their confidence and help them see that they have a choice and a voice in what they do and what they want to follow, and helping them to not be their own leaders and to make their own choices and decisions. And so the way we have our environment set up, they can choose where they want to explore. They can choose how deeply they want to get involved into it. And then we're there to support them along the way, but to help them see, wow, I have an opinion and my opinion matters. And I have a voice and that matters. And so building that confidence at a young age is a really critical piece. And I know, like some of our iCreate staff, they keep coming to us and they say, we notice such a difference with the learners who have come to us from Little iLEADERS to iCreate. They just notice a huge difference from those that didn't have that previous experience, that they just have a different confidence level. They have a different ability of working with other learners. And so their social skills are different, and they just can see that there's a big, they notice a difference when they've have that previous learning experience.
Yeah, it makes me think of that book and the concept. All I ever needed to learn, I learned in kindergarten. Right? It's like that same kind of thinking. And what you just said about the confidence level. Talk a little bit about that, maybe with your own kids, because I know your kids, your three sons, went through iLEAD schools, and my kids went through iLEAD schools, and then of course we know all of the kids in the schools. That comment about a difference in confidence. That's a common theme. I've heard that many, many times. One time we were at the Capitol doing a tour at the Sacramento Capitol, and I heard from some of the people in the assembly that were giving the tour that the kids that came from our schools, they just were confident asking questions. They weren't afraid to ask questions. They weren't afraid to look adults in the eye. So talk a little bit of maybe, share with your personal experience, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that was huge with Ramsey. So Ramsey's been there since kindergarten, and now he's in 10th grade. So he's literally, this is all he knows. And this was his world. And when he was in, I'd say second grade, looking at someone in the eye, he didn't have that confidence. He didn't have that confidence of talking to adults. Someone would say hi to him and he would shy away. And so what I loved is his facilitators understood that, and they worked that into his individual learning plan, his ILP, in his social emotional development, of how can we get him to feel more confident. And I loved that they looked at that as just as important as the other areas of development. And so they decided what they were going to do was have him go down to the front office every day and greet Daniela, the office person at the time. And his job was to say hello to her and good morning, and she would say hello back, and he would make eye contact with her. And Daniela was so great at it. She was so welcoming and supportive of it. And it just showed me that everyone in the school cared about him, that it wasn't just his facilitators, but even the office staff. Like it was just amazing. And then it continued. Then they gave him the job of being the greeter when the tours came by. So that would help build his confidence. So it kept building over and over. And then what happened most recently is we had the charter school meeting at the school district to, renew our charter. And here's Ramsey, who was completely afraid to talk to people in second grade, now standing up in front of a boardroom of people who he doesn't know, and shared his passion and shared his beliefs and fought for what he believed in. And when I looked at his teachers, they were like in tears because they remembered and they knew. And that was that was everything to me. And like these teachers, his fourth grade teachers, even Daniela, they all remembered. It wasn't just me saying, you remember those days? They remembered. And they're like, can you imagine like where he was and now where he is? He's just a different learner because of it. He's a different person because of it. I'm just beyond grateful for the whole team. It's not at the school. I just always feel like it's the whole, the whole team focuses on all of the learners.
It's just beautiful, and also a benefit of having a school that goes from transitional kindergarten all the way through 12th. That's a pretty special thing, too. We need to go to a commercial, but you mentioned ILPs. I'd like to hear a little bit more about that when we come back.
Sure.
And I hope you'll stay with us through the next break. We're
Absolutely.
talking. Great, thanks. We're talking with Wendy Ruiz, the program director at Little iLEADERS Preschool and Daycare. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more. I'm Amber Raskin, and you're listening to SCVI and iLEAD Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.
No words can describe the power of belonging to a group of close friends or being part of a family. Insight Treatment Center was founded more than 20 years ago to give teenagers a community of friends and family as they overcome issues like depression, anxiety, and trauma. The new Santa Clarita location is a COVID-secure environment where distance and good airflow are a priority. As a leader in providing intensive outpatient treatment to teenagers, Insight Treatment Center in Santa Clarita is here to help. Call 888-295-9995 or go online to insighttreatment.com.
Welcome to Dunkin', where safety is their #1 priority. The staff at Dunkin' has daily temperature checks and goes through a series of current health questions prior to each shift. They have all the necessary PPE, including masks, shields, and gloves. In addition, every store is sanitized several times an hour for your protection. Use the Dunkin' app for specials and to order ahead. Carry out and curbside pickup is available, or have your order delivered by Grubhub, Postmates, Uber Eats, or DoorDash. Dunkin', all-day sandwiches, donuts, bagels, muffins, and of course, hot and cold beverages. Visit Dunkin' on Bouquet, next to Lowe's, or the Dunkin' in Canyon Country on Sierra Highway. The Santa Clarita Valley runs on Dunkin'.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is Eye on the Valley, and I'm your host for today, Amber Raskin, filling in for Matt Watson. We are here this morning with Wendy Ruiz, the program director, and my friend and colleague at Little iLEADERS Preschool and Daycare. Wendy, before the last break, we were talking about about ILPs. You mentioned that with Ramsey and that beautiful moment when he spoke at the board meeting and what that represented. Can you explain for our listeners what an ILP is, please?
Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite aspects of iLEAD is the individual learning plans. And so every learner has a plan, and it's not just done with the facilitator and the parent, but it's actually the learner helps create it and helps come up with their own goals. Social, emotional, academic, math, every area. They come up with their goals. The facilitator looks at those goals, comes up with some of their own, and then they create a plan together with the parent. And so instead of like a parent-teacher conference where it's literally that, a parent-teacher conference, it's an ILP. Where everyone is a learner-led conference where the learner is the one who leads it because it's his education that we're talking about. It's his plan. It's his future, and he should be involved in it. And so it gives them a voice. And I remember back in, I think it was 4th grade, I remember he was doing his ILP, and in it he put his goal is to, when they do group projects, to not pick his friends because he does better work when it doesn't have friends in his group. And to me, that was huge, that here's my 4th grader who is able to decide that on his own, able to see that he does better when he is not getting distracted by his close friends. And that just kind of was amazing to me. And he wouldn't have done that if he didn't have that option or that voice in his plan.
That's fabulous. And, as I said earlier, my own kids also went through the years, and it was interesting to watch the ILP process throughout that my son started in 1st grade and then graduated in 12th grade last year in 2020. And so the difference in the ILPs throughout the years, when he was younger, as you talked about with Ramsey, my son put in his ILP because there's social emotional goals and academic goals. You do both. And so one of his social emotional goals was to order for himself in a restaurant. when he was younger, and then he gave a speech at graduation. So, I mean, how far he came, but all of that was because he would do that throughout the years. So, it was really a beautiful thing and we do all know how important the social emotional side of learning is, because that's what makes you really a good employee. Like, people, when they get fired, they tend to get fired for social emotional reasons, not for the technical reasons, because the technical can be learned and trained. And so those pieces are so critical to being a successful adult. So I think that's illustrated there. Thank you for that explanation of what an ILP is. Could you I'd like to switch gears a little bit here. Could you talk about the iCreate? You mentioned iCreate, and I'm not sure that our listeners know what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. So iCreate is our after-school program, and it supports our TK through 12 years old. And when school is regularly in session, then we'll go over and pick the learners up from SCVI and bring them back to our campus. We also have non-SCVI learners there too. They get dropped off. And we provide support to them if they have assignments or projects that they're working on. And then we provide spaces for them to just release and play and be with their friends. And right now, their biggest thing right now is stacking as many milk crates as they can and creating castles. And so we're providing a space for them to expand their learning, but also just to, step away from their monitors for now, especially. And so during COVID, we've adjusted and shifted as we needed to support our families. And so they're able to be there from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. if needed. And we have them broken up into groups. So we have like a TK group, a kindergarten first grade group, and then a second grade and up group. And those learners work together, and they do their Zooms. We set it up so they can do their Zooms. We know the facilitators know all of their schedules, help to make sure that they log in at all the correct times, support them as they need it. And then once their Zooms are done, we provide non-screen time for them to get away from it and get that release out that they need.
That's fabulous, and it's open now?
It's open
COVID?
now. We've been open since May.
Okay.
Or end of May.
So iCreate is open, and Little iLEADERS is open during COVID, serving, I would imagine, a lot of essential and frontline workers, right?
Absolutely.
So So you've led the way and been really on the front lines of being that critical care that we need so that the essential workers can serve our community. Can you talk a little bit about that and being really paving the way, as we so often do in all of our communities and our schools and our locations, paving the way for with COVID and figuring out how to do that safely and all of that?
Yeah, how to do it safely and still with quality. So that's definitely something we're learning every day. We take on new challenges, I think, every day. We have a policy in that when parents arrive, so that there's no parents in the actual building. They come right into the lobby, one parent at a time. We have contactless check-in, so we've adopted a system where they can use their phone to check their learners in and out. And then also our facilitators do all communication through that app. And so they're still able to communicate. They're still able to check in. They're able to see when their child got a diaper change, when they had lunch, when they woke up from naps. It sends them information throughout the day along with photographs of their day and everything that they're doing. So that's been really helpful because it's hard to lose that. Relationships is such an important key, important part of the program. And so we didn't want to lose that. We also do daily checks. The parents have a questionnaire that they have to fill out every morning that makes sure that they don't have a fever. We do take their fevers, take their temperatures, of course, but then they also have to check off that they don't have any symptoms and haven't been exposed within the last 2 weeks. If they check, if all of that is cleared, then it allows them to check their child in and gives them the green light to check their learner in. And then all the facilitators and caregivers are wearing masks the entire day. The children wash their hands as soon as they enter, and then also wash their hands when they re-enter the classroom after playing outside. After they change tables from when they're playing with one activity, they'll go wash their hands before playing with another activity. we're doing everything we can to monitor it and to keep it as, safe an environment as we can. Our iCreate learners, they're wearing masks, as well as, of course, our facilitators, and also washing their hands diligently, so much to the fact that we're needing lots of hand lotion.
I bet.
And then, of course, we have hand sanitizer all over available as well. But we're just, we know how important it is for families to get back to work. And so we're so fortunate and blessed that we're able to provide those experiences and provide a safe space for their children to come when they're back at work.
What are some of the lessons learned from you guys paving the way that we could pass along to maybe other schools as they start to open up, and other preschools that might, or early childhood centers that may have been closed that are planning to open? What are some things words of wisdom you would share?
Patience. Patience is a big one, and being willing to just take each day as it comes and focus exactly on what you need to focus on, because sometimes there's so many other things that kind of get in the way, and you have to really just pay attention to what's being handed to you at that moment. Flexibility is huge, and staying on top of the licensing calls or the public health department information so that we know we're following the correct group sizes or the new protocols that are going on, the new quarantine, how long a quarantine is, and just being aware. It's just really putting your focus into COVID at the moment, and that's kind of where our focus has to be, just to keep our learners safe. That's our goal. And remembering that this is going to pass. This will pass. We will get through this. And so, yes, we're having to wear masks, throughout the day, or yes, we're having to wash their hands or separate children into smaller groups or whatever the case we are, just to keep them safe. But we know that this is just for now, and this isn't going to be forever. So just having that positive outlook and not giving up, and knowing really what we keep doing is we keep remembering that we keep having to remember that this is for the learners, this is for the children, and this is for the parents. And as long as that's our focus, then we know we can keep going.
That's great. That's really great. Great words of wisdom. Can you tell us, are there spots, and how would people sign up for that program if they were interested?
So we do have spots. They can go on our website on littleileaders.org, and there's an interest form on there. They just fill out the interest form, put the age of their child, what days they're interested in, and then we'll give them a call back. Or an email. If email is the best way, they can put their email on there as well. And then either Anthony will give them a call back for iCreate, or Candace if it's for Little iLEADERS. They can also call. It's 661-383-0400. They could call and schedule it, but generally the intent form gets them in the system, so that's the best way to do it.
That's great.
And we do have some openings in iCreate. We have a few, and then we have a couple. We're building a wait list for Little iLEADERS, but we may have a couple openings as well.
Okay, good to know. We're coming up to the end of our time here, but before we go to our next commercial, I'd like to hear one last thing from you, Wendy. What is your favorite piece of being involved with Little iLEADERS? Tell me the most special part of it.
Oh, goodness, that's a tough one.
Or anything that you love. Doesn't have to be most special.
Love that we're able to be there. I love that we're able to provide this for the community. I love that we're able to provide a high-quality program for working families, and truly love that we can do it with the iLEAD philosophy involved. So it's kind of a whole package deal.
It's full circle, absolutely, because you helped shape the iLEAD philosophy, and now you're helping to create the iCreate and the Little iLEADERS. So thank you for your friendship and partnership and guidance all these years. It's really just been an incredible journey, and I am personally so grateful for my family and my own kids, and then also what we've been able to do for the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I'm going to go to commercial next. And Wendy, thank you again for joining us today. I know you and your team are busy, so I'll let you go. You be well, you be safe, you take care of those littles. It's so important. And we'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thank Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. You're listening to SCVI and iLEAD Schools Eye on the Valley. I'm Amber Raskin on your hometown station, KHTS. When you look at your child, you see so much. A creative spirit that surprises you every day. A little leader growing to discover who they are, what they love, and how they can make the world better. At SCVI, we see those same amazing things. Our tuition-free TK through 12 charter school provides boundless opportunities to think critically and imagine freely, with a learning program customized just for your child. Today, that means empowering your child to bring strengths and passions to the distance learning environment. Our approach keeps your child and family in step while online, inspiring your learner to keep growing without missing a beat. At SCVI, your child will find even more ways to grow with projects and activities in STEAM, robotics, theater, music, and sports. With the only international baccalaureate program in Santa Clarita, SCVI produces graduates who excel at top universities and in life. For enrollment information or to learn more about our distance learning program, visit iLEADSantaClarita.org. iLEAD Schools, free to think, inspired to lead.
Why did Mercedes-Benz of Valencia win the Dealer of Excellence Award in 2019?
Because we strive to provide the most outstanding sales experience.
Mercedes-Benz of Valencia COO Chris Paz.
We know you have high expectations. Our stellar team will meet and exceed your expectations. That's why we were named Mercedes Best of the Best, placing us in the top 10% of all Mercedes dealers nationwide.
Find out how you can lease a new Mercedes for unbelievably low monthly payments. Details at mbzvalencia.com.
Sweet, salty, tastiest, bacon and pancakiest. Big yawns are okay, yummy syrups, yes way. Butter pecan, blueberry, old-fashioned strawberry. Never empty coffee pot, Mom says it hits the spot. Almonds are the fluffiest, Dad's hugs the scruffiest. Scrambled eggy, pepper shaky, orange juicy, wide awake, stuffed French toastiest. Waffles with the mustiest, buttermilky, smooth, silky, tastes great. Love on a plate.
IHOP, everything you love about breakfast.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back. You're listening to your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. I am Amber Raskin, and you're listening to SCVI and iLEAD Schools Eye on the Valley. My next guest is a graduate of SCVI, iLEAD's founding school, the same one that my own kids went to and the very first one that we started. And I know Julia very well because she was part of creating the foundation of what SCVI and then later iLEAD Schools is. Julia, having first joined SCVI when she was in the 6th grade, Julia Berrigan is a member of the class of 2016 and a recipient of SCVI's very first annual Leadership Award and Scholarship, and it was well deserved. Since then, Julia went on to graduate from Sonoma State University in Northern California. A true leader, she has been volunteering and working to improve her community pretty much all of her life. Over that time, she's developed a heart to serve people who find themselves in their most fragile states, as she gives of herself to be the strength for those who seem to have none left. Julia, welcome back to Eye on the Valley.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. I saw something recent that you had done for your work, and I was just so impressed with the leader that you are. Not surprised, but very impressed and proud. And as I mentioned, you attended SCVI for 7 years, from 6th grade to 12th grade. Can you talk a little bit about what that was like and how that's impacted you and helped you be the incredible leader that you are today?
Absolutely, yeah. Throughout all of those years, really just focusing on becoming well-rounded and learning leadership skills and how to be open-minded and be a part of my community has really shaped me just to be the person that I am, but also shaped my education journey and the career that I hope to pursue and that I have been drawn to. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing now?
Absolutely. So during my time at Sonoma State University, I found myself being drawn to learning about mental health and helping people in the community access adequate mental health care, which is not always easy. And so during my time at the university, I did an internship with the Counseling and Psychological Services Center there and did a lot of projects and got to do an internship with one of the psychotherapists one-on-one, which was just amazing. And so after that, I did a part-time position at the National Alliance on Mental Illness on their WARM line, which is a non-crisis resource referral line, just talking to people, helping them figure out the best resource for them at the time, how to best support themselves, support a loved one who might be living with a serious mental health condition. And now I am full-time at the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, in Sonoma County, and I work as the Youth Mental Health Program Coordinator, where I help implement our youth-oriented programs and work with middle schoolers and high schoolers just about talking about mental health, letting them know that it's okay to reach out for help. It's okay, to say that you're not okay right now, because our mental health is being affected across the board right now with everything going on.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such an important point to keep getting out there. Can you tell us why mental health is so important to you? What sparked that interest and that passion for you?
Yeah, I think, there is a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of stigma, a lot of barriers to accessing mental health care. And throughout my journey at SCVI, we learned little pieces about mental health, and things sparked my interest when I would learn about it in advisory. We would talk about wellness tips and checking in with each other, how important that was, and learning about, taking care of yourself. And then, throughout my education journey, as I completed my degree in liberal arts and women's and gender studies, I was seeing pieces of mental health reflected in everything I was studying and everything I was doing in the community. And so I just found myself, wanting to learn more and wanting to be a part of that conversation and that movement that's happening right now. And so now I'm taking some psychology courses at our junior college and, looking into graduate programs to study that more and be able to open doors for people and be involved in that.
That's fabulous. And I'm told that when you graduated, you were accepted into a lot of colleges, but you chose Sonoma State. What made you decide on that school, and what was your experience like? You talked a little bit about it, but it sounds like there's some kind of connection that I'd love to hear a little bit more about.
Yeah, absolutely. Similarly to SCVI, the school that I grew up going to and loving and just being connected with this community that is very rare and special. Sonoma State is on the smaller side, and I just found myself feeling very at home, similarly the way that I did at SCVI. And so even though it's up here in Northern California, I just became very involved and connected. I was a resident advisor, and so I was able to be connected with other student leaders and also help incoming students feel at home. And I loved my time there. It was amazing. I was just involved in so many different things, and yeah, it was great.
That's really inspiring and wonderful to hear. I know you've been volunteering to better your community for a very long time. As you were a Girl Scout, you volunteered with Safe Rides when you were in high school. What motivates you to give back so much?
Yeah, so I think it all started when, I was at SCVI learning about what it means to give back to the community and invest in the people that you are surrounded with and the place that you call home, how important that is. And so when I moved up here, I just wanted to be involved and a part of the community, a part of the home that I was living in. And that's something that I learned very young when I was a Girl Scout and when I was involved in safe rides, and that I will continue to do throughout my life, and something that I think is so important and meaningful.
I want to ask you about your future, but you've had such an incredible journey so far. It's hard to imagine doing more, but I'm curious where you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years. You mentioned graduate school, and I know that you're working now. Talk to us a little bit about what excites you about the future.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's a great question. I think hopefully graduate school will be done. Things are a little, funky right now with programs and just figuring that out. But hopefully, I get my master's in clinical psychology, and the goal right now is to become a licensed marriage and family therapist and just work with people, helping them access mental health care, take care of their own mental health. And but things can change, and I'm just really excited about my future and the fact that I feel, so lucky to be involved in the mental health field and to be learning the things that I am learning, and to be able to have SCVI as that foundation for my education process, and really just, lifelong learning, as we say there.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I made some notes when you were talking about being well-rounded and open-minded that you feel like SCVI gave you. Are there specific things that happen? What is it that you think? What do you think that happened in SCVI that inspired that part, the well-rounded, open-minded piece of what you do, and which then led to mental health as a passion?
Mm-hmm. I think a key piece of that would be the advisory classes that we had, where we would just check in with each other, do an honest, have an honest conversation about how we were doing, both in classes, but also just in life. And that was just so refreshing. You don't really see that in a lot of educational spaces, and having facilitators, just let us know that they were there for us and there to help us if we were not doing well emotionally, socially, academically also. And so just being able to check in, and also having my peers, being used to this check-in, being used to talking about when maybe their mental health wasn't so great, having those honest conversations and being able to just support ourselves in that way was really important. And also our projects on, the IB learner profile and all of those characteristics, like being reflective and open-minded, balanced, knowledgeable, those are all just so important in everyone's life.
Yeah. What words of wisdom would you have for students graduating now, especially with COVID? Because as you mentioned, that connection, that social connection is so important, and that's what we're all suffering from a lack of right now. I miss people. I miss hugging. I miss groups. I miss all of that so much. What words of wisdom from your mental health background and your background in SCVI and iLEAD schools for the kids that graduated in 2020 or graduating this coming spring?
Yeah, so some words of wisdom I would say is just take it slow, be kind to yourself. And, when I graduated, I had I thought that I wanted to be a teacher and maybe be in the education field. And I just was very overwhelmed by not knowing what my life would look like and what I was going to do after college. But I think, just take it slow, enjoy the process, and you'll find where you're meant to be. And in terms of remote learning and feeling isolated, that is, we are all challenged with that right now. And I think, finding new ways to connect, and I would say branch out and reach out to, maybe some people that you don't know, join a support group, find local resources and get connected, because it feels like we're in this alone, but we're all in this together.
That's beautiful. How does that dovetail into what you're doing for a living right now at work? Whatever you're able to talk about with what you're currently spending your days doing.
Yeah, so I work a lot with middle schoolers and high schoolers, just talking with them about mental health, talking with them about, breaking down that stigma, asking them questions, engaging with them. And, I think that it's hard, all being on little screens and just doing the best that we can. And so, engaging with them and figuring out how to best support our mental health right now can be so challenging. But, we know a lot about ourselves, and we can be capable of more than we think. And so just being able to assure them that also it helps that I'm 22, and so they kind of like look at me as a young adult, someone that they can just talk to and trust almost. There's like that level of trust. And so just talking about myself, my past experiences, and my current experience in this pandemic and how I'm taking care of myself has been helpful. And they kind of then open up and share tips with each other, and we talk about local resources.
That's fabulous. Julia, thank you for being such an inspiration and joining us today. You are just the epitome of the Leadership Award that you were the inaugural awardee. I'm so grateful to know you, and I'm grateful to be inspired by you and to watch you grow. I just can't wait to see what you do next. I hope you'll talk to people in Sacramento. Our first guest, Suzette Valladares, was mental health is very important to her too, and I think that it's right now the movement is incredible, and I would like to see your voice be heard. So thank you for being such a strong role model for our young people. So grateful for your time today and for being on, and congratulations for all the wonderful things you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, and thank you for joining us today. To all of my guests, Assemblywoman Suzette Martinez Valladares, Wendy Ruiz, Program Director at Little iLEADERS, SCVI and Sonoma State graduate Julie Berrigan. Join us again next week and every Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. We have several schools in our iLEAD family. We have iLEAD Santa Clarita, which is SCVI, our founding school, iLEAD Online, iLEAD Agua Dulce, and our there's one that I'm missing, our homeschool one, our iLEAD Exploration. We look forward to seeing you again next week and hope you'll join us again soon. I'm Amber Golden Raskin, and this is SCVI and iLEAD Schools, Eye on the Valley, on your hometown station, KHTS.